matzah that was kneaded with fruit juices. Das the Rambam Kan Perak Yud Halacha Hey the Yatzidei Chabaso. He doesn't call that matzah shira. Below mikri matzah shira, rak barboa mashkin, which are yayin, shemen, cholov, and vash. However, Sharmei Paris, he considers that mikri matzani yayin shem b'Rabbi Magid maybe b'shem yesh omrim dafka ima'at mayim. That even the Rambam who says those other ones are not is okay, only if there's some water there. Ava below mayim cloud, but if there's no water at all, einu yotzei, you're not going to be yotzei. Kivin the einu machmetz, because may Paris don't make chametz without any water. In the sense, kivin the einu machmetz, einu yotzei they matzah. They'll see both soch of chametz. Because only the 5 minim make chametz, and things like rice don't. So here also he says if made Paris without water or not machmetz, and the Rambam would agree that that's not good. Because of a Rav Magid, the Nachonu, that's a good svara, though he accepts the Yeshomer. Val Yikshalach Kim, the role poskim sovereign to make Paris imayim havi nuksha. So he says, so it comes out that according to the Rambam, without mayim it's no good, but with mayim it is good. But other poskim hold that if there's any mayim, it makes chametz nuksha. L'dasa, so in the nuksha of the Rabbanim came in a Torah ain't a boli day chametz. So even with a little bit mayim, according to them, it doesn't come with day chametz because it has to come with the chametz deraisa, and it only comes to chametz nuksha. V'arikrak ronim the trei gavni chametz nuksha yesh. There are 2 types of chametz nuksha. V'afilu man desfirlei chametz nuksha of the Rabbanim. After the Osam Ashnaim the Mishnah Sham, there's a whole list of types of chametz nuksha in the Mishnah. May parasim mayim sovrim kulam the Osam and the Torah the Nilam and Menachos, that it's not called chametz. It's not called matzah. It's called chametz. I'm a sifrein but there matikim, so I don't know much about this. But that's what he's saying, that this kind of may paris with mayim, it's an instrument of Torah, so then there's a problem according to that shita. Then certainly you can't be yotzei matzah with this. Makal makom, he says, ani mefakri was efshel omar kivin the matzah iskish l'chametz the enu yotzei yedei chavos matzah rak man mechayim mishul chametz efshel omar the enu yotzei yedei chavos matzah alim boli de chimetz gomer shechayavin olav karas. Maybe that matzah is totally in chimetz gomer. But if it only comes to chametz nuksha, even if it's going to be like an isser deraisa, like you said, could be that's called lo mikri boli de chimetz. Maybe that's not called a complete de chimetz. And yotzi de chovas, and therefore you can't be yotzi. In other words, you can only be yotzi matzah with something which could be chametz, and you stopped it, right? But something which can't come with de chimetz, and it could be this is called the can't come with de chimetz. When they paris in my main chayav in karas, he says even if you hold it to deraisa, kimavur lahajisham daflam hamalal isa hanilosha b'yayin in chayavim al chimutza umayim yimayim l'shita seila the ainu over rak b'lavim can after ein yotzi de clovas matzah, because it's not called boli de chimutz, and it's not boli de chimutz, there's no such thing as a matzah. So that's a suffix. A suffix is when we say that it only be yotzi matzah with something which is boli de chimutz. Doesn't mean boli de chimetz of karas or any kind of boli de chimetz. So if you have over here a chimetz, even if you hold this chimetz, this type of nuksha chametz is a direct stick chametz, it's only a lav. So it could be that's not called boli de chimetz. So even if you stop the chimetz and you make matzah, but it won't be kosher matzah, because matzah has to be something from which is boli de chimetz.
This statement of the Rabbi Magid, which says maybe the Yeshomrim dafkim mayim, he's reading that into the Rambam, like like it says the Rambam says v'shomer pes mikri matzah niya. That's with that's he says with that.
I thought those Yeshomrim were saying something in the Rambam. That's how I understood it. I have to look it up.
No, it seems the way he's approaching it that he's saying that, but so the Maggid Mishnah is bringing down Yesherman saying that that's in the Rambam.
I think so.
So May Paris with mayim. So it's mei peros with mayim, which is called mikra aniyah, but without mayim, it's nothing anyways.
Right.
It's not. So it's not chametz, and it's not matzah.
Right.
But then he's arguing that with mayim. See, it's interesting because the Rambam calls it matzah aniyah. So that his language matzah aniyah would imply that you go through matzah with it, right?
Right.
Then he says, so he's asking he's asking according to other poskim, the Rov poskim, but it seems according to Rambam the answer is that it would be. The answer to the Rambam would be matzah. Therefore,
so he's saying it's not b'oli day. If it's only chametz liksha, so it's not b'oli day chimetz according to the Torah, so it shouldn't be.
Right.
It shouldn't be good, but he says they get out of by saying this kind of nuksha is asr minha Torah, so it is called b'oli day chimetz, and since it's called b'oli day chimetz, it's considered matzah. And then he says that he's not so sure.
Right.
That's true. He doesn't know. Maybe b'oli day chimetz means it has to be called b'oli day chimetz.
Yeah, but the fact that Rambam paskins matzah aniyah would seem to play. The fact that Rambam holds it is good. In other words, the Rambam holds chametz nuksha, but the fact that the Rambam uses the language matzah aniyah would seem to imply that.
Yeah, but that's good for what he's asking. He doesn't know. He says the way they're learning the Rambam, they're getting out of it by saying that's called b'oli day chimetz.
Right.
He says he's not so sure why that should be called b'oli day chimetz, but he's not ending up saying a pshat in the Rambam.
Oh, so he's challenging that pshat.
That pshat.
But he's still saying Vadai, the Rambam still holds its matzah. Okay, so that's good. Okay. Right.
So now he says Yesh Ksas Raya.
This is just Nisvara. This thing with Mayim and the fact is you don't know the whole problem with what do you call it? This kind of matzah from Meir Peros. The reason we don't eat the egg matzah is because of a concern, because we don't know when it becomes chametz, because it's no longer the 18 minutes. We don't know when it becomes chametz. But the Rambam held that when this thing of Mayim and Meir Peros.
I thought we don't eat it because we hold it is matzah shira.
No, that would make it. But that's the fact of matzah shira. So.
Why don't we eat it b'chal, or we don't use it?
No. Why do we eat it at all?
Right.
We don't use it for the thing because it's matzah shira. But the fact is that we
don't eat it because it might become as luksha.
Right, and we don't know when the 18 minutes is because the 18 minutes doesn't apply. But I know Sfarim do eat it. But that's I guess what's hitting me in the Rambam. He holds that the 18 minutes. Like I thought that if you don't know when the 18 minutes is, you really have a subject deraisis. How can you eat it? But the people who say you could eat it, they hold it's because it's.
What's the wrong problem?
Well, according to Rambam, it is machmitz because it's made Paris with water.
I don't know enough about it if they hold like that. I don't know how they learned the Rambam. I don't know.
Well, he's saying that's made Paris is with a little bit of water,
right.
And I think that's what they eat. But it always troubled me that the people who are, I think, Sfardim eat egg matzahs on Pesach. Always troubled me that. How do they deal with the timing? Because I always understood the problem with egg matzahs is because we don't know when it's machmitz, because the 18 minutes don't apply. So is that only a Sfarim Ashkenazim, or is that?
I'm not familiar with it. I don't know. I have to look up. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the whole subject.
Uh-huh.
I want to tell you something. That veneer, we never learned that veneer because I just looked at it because I know I remember there's a very important things in there. And
okay,
we didn't talk to it.
I thought we did. Okay, so we can go back.
Just let's do that veneer because I remember a couple of weeks ago I looked ahead
Yeah.
And that was interesting stuff. And
Okay.
I don't remember
I'm
saying
sorry,
it. You'll see. Maybe we'll go over and see if you did, but I don't think we did.
I thought we did with the bishul aspect.
The Nir Leviani's daiti, keeping the matzah shabishla. We discussed matzah shabishla.
Yeah,
we said ain't a yotz mitaras lechem. Remember, we said that's how people there on Shabbos they use, matzah b'shabbos, because you can't be yotzei.
Right.
Rak mikol makom ain't a yotzei lechavas. So the exeris akasud being in tam matzah. And we said if it's b'shabbos it doesn't have tam matzah.
Right.
So now this I don't remember. Imis arba matzah shabishla. So now if you have a matzah that was levushal, Chad betrayed the matzah share, and they got mixed up with two kosher matzahs. After Vichihai Gavna Bottle Barov. So Mikom Makom Khan Im Ocham Wikulam Kazayas. If he ate a kazayas, in other words, from all three together, he ended up having a kazayas. So part of that kazayas was the matzah shalas. Oh, Me'echad Mehem, or one of them, and he doesn't know which one he had. Ain't a yotzei de chabas. You're not going to be yotzei even though it was batel or rope. Why? He the batel of the nepach from Israel yos hatter. Even though batel rope makes something usher to become mutter. V'chein le'inyan mitzvah. And he says not only by yisurim, we have this concept of het isser becoming heter kagon the schach puzzle, which is a whole big machlokas showing how it works. But the Gemara seems to say if you could take schach puzzle and vatel of barov. Schach kosher. I know Rechaim Rachel Chasukkah. Because Makom Kan Lo Shach with Zeh. So he says, even if you hold, so the question is, so why shouldn't the matzah v'shalos become good matzah now? Because it was batal bero. So he says, Nehi Dahavi Matzah Kshera, even though it's Matzah Kshera, because the Isser, it was Matzah, and it became batal to kosher matzah. So the fact that the batal makes it kosher, become bakom less tam matzah. But he says over here the thing that was wrong was it wasn't that it wasn't matzah, but the problem was it didn't have tam of matzah. So he says no matter what you say, even if batal changes it, but the tam is the fact that still it doesn't have the tam of matzah. Lazelo shayach batal to mikom makom ein lo tam matzah. Because he says Bittul Barov can't change the Matzias and say now it has the time of matzah. Whereas if it wasn't matzah, he's like you to say, if it was chametz, it could become Bittul to the matzah, take off the Isser chametz. But to say that if you need the positive property of tam, the Bittul Barov can't give it the time. So let's just finish the paragraph. We're going to see. We times that, and he said for this reason. If chametz became mixed up with matzah, nehi de botla mitaras chametz, even though the isser chametz went away because of bittul baro, the gazar akasav the isser nepach liyos heter, because that's exeris akasav the bittul baro makes the isser into heter. Mikol makal lo shayach lo omer the nepach liyos lo tam matzah. But if there's a requirement by matzah that you need, it's not enough to have matzah, but you need tam of matzah. He says, Bittul Barov can't give it a din of tam matzah. The im kain, einu yotzi yadei chovasa b'layel harishon, the tam matzah be'inin. In other words, you could eat it the whole rest of the Pesach because there's no Isser chametz on it. But if you need to be yotzi the mitzvah matzah, you need the tam of matzah. So he says you don't have the tam matzah. The zen nira bor b'siyata the shmai. The dafke b'matzah kazu depsu l'machla shein lo tam matzah. He says, I'm only saying this for in this kind of case where really it is matzah, except it doesn't have tam. So I'm arguing that bittul bro can't give it the tam. Avo matzah shepsu l'mitam acher. But if you have matzah that's possible for another reason, kigon shalo haya lo shimur l'shem matzah. It's mitzvah. Ilchadoma, like we're going to see later, is a din of shimur l'shmoah. And if you have matzah that didn't have shimur l'shmoah, Valai Butla Berov. He says if that gets mixed up with kosher matzah, it is Batal Berov, B'yotzi Yadei Matzah. So what's his chiluk? He says if the chisaron is in tam, Bittul Berov can't make it the tam. If the chisaron is in the shma, then Bittul Berov is good.
Right.
And why is it good? How does Bittul Berov give the din of the shma? What's the chiluk between what does he mean? There's a chiluk in tam and there's a chiluk in lishma. So l'chara he means that when it's totally in the mitzias of taste, bittul barov can't give it a taste. But these are the lishma is already halachas, right. And somehow bittul barov it's a halacha dikka. Then the isser is hapach leheter. There also matzah of which wasn't lishma can get a din of lishma.
The thing that's bothering me is this issue of tam. If you hold that tam is the same, then you have bittul barov because it's min b'mino. I mean, in other words, bittul barov works because it's min b'mino, and there's no inyan of tam, right? But if you can distinguish the tam, then you need bittul b'shisha, right? It's like this tam over here. If you can taste it and it doesn't taste like matzah, then
how did it become batel in the first place?
Right, how's it batel in the first place? Right. I mean, right. And if it tastes like matzah, so then what's tam? I mean, it seems to be that the tam matzah definition here is not a mitzias. It seems to be also a legal definition, unless I just. Especially you use bittul barov, then by definition you're not dealing with tam.
It's not so clear by mitzvahs because that sugya, I don't know how they really learn it, but that sugya that says you could be ma'arav schach pasel and schach kasher,
right? And
the schach pasel becomes okay.
Right.
So there the Rishonim bother because there it's talking that you can even see the schach pasel.
Right.
And over there the Rishonim ask. How's it?
Right.
So some Rishonim learned that Gemara doesn't mean it's bittul, but in some kind of story we don't care about if the mean is puzzle. But other Rishonim learned that Gemara actually means because bittul barov and bittul barov by mitzvahs works differently than bittul barov by yisurin, and even if you could see it, we say bittul barov. I don't remember exactly. I don't know if I ever knew exactly how they understand it, but they say there's some kind of bittul. But he's certainly learning that the time. I hear your question. Why can't you tell? Why can't you taste it? And why can't you tell?
But I remember in when you're right. I remember in your schach. It's like even if you can identify the schach basel, they say that'd be
but what is his svar? So you're arguing on the whole mitzias, but his svar is what's the difference between lishma and tam? He says a lot of achronim hold that bittul doesn't help for lishma either. In other words, they say that in other words a matzah shelo lishma can't become batel to a matzah lishma because that's not a question of isser becoming after. It's just a question. You need the positive
aspect of
lishma, and bittul doesn't give it the aspect of lishma. There's a lot of achronim like that. When I was in yeshiva, it was always said over the name of Onagenta, but since then I saw. So there's a lot of people that hold there's no such thing as bittul helping the din of where there's chisarna lishma, but Minchas Chinuch is saying bittul does help for lishma.
Right.
So it can give it the aspect of lishma, but it's still he's saying it can't give it tam. So why? Because I thought that what he meant was that lishma is a halakhic concept. So bittul helps the guy be yisurim and heter. So all these halakhic concepts. But this is totally in the mitzias of the item. If it has this flavor or that flavor, and bittul can't give it a flavor. But he doesn't say clearly what the chiluk is. That's the way I understand it. It's a different way of understanding it.
No, the fact is I hear that way. I mean the
So I brought the sefer. I told you I want to see because there's a sefer that came out. It was only 2 volumes, but it's only the beginning. But mitzvah yud he covers. So around 3 weeks ago, when I was looking this up, that's why we didn't learn this. I don't think this.
No. The truth is, I think the first 2 lines I remembered, but I think
because the paragraph he talked before talked about matzah v'shalos.
Okay.
And that's how we talked about matzah v'shalos because we said that some people cook the thing for But we didn't do this because this in bittul is a very interesting.
Because it's really, it's creating There's one thing of bittul being passive of removing the isser. Here it's actually creating a positive, like in other words, it's saying that which prevents you from, that which is usher is lost in the rove. But can that now make a positive thing? And that seems to be argued by Lishma. And I can really see with Lishma that the fact that it's mevatel, I mean that it's like, do you need? Just think, is it possible to understand the Shema? It would seem to be, can you create a positive attribute? In other words, it's one thing with the issue to remove a negative attribute as a rope, but it seems to be this puzzle.
That's the shayla of the Achronim.
Right.
A lot of the Achronim say it doesn't help by Lishma.
Right, because it's creates.
And I guess that's the other ones learned that once something becomes buttal something else, it gets all the aspects of that other thing.
Right, but his chilik is interesting because in Tam he's saying it cannot create the positive attribute of Tam, but it can create the positive attribute of Shema. But that could be the chilik because Tam is a Metzias thing, so it has to be.
So that's the way he doesn't really explain it, but that's the way I understand what he's saying.
Right, but in terms of creating a halachic category, it's like it's creating.
Well, you have to really work out that Gemara in Sukkah, because when over there it says a schach puzzle becomes batal, does it become batal? There's no psul, but you have to see if there's positive aspects of being kosher. But I don't know offhand what aspects it would need. If it's not puzzle, then it's kosher. But I'm not so sure. But okay. But he's learning it gets positive, but a lot of people don't. So I'm sure this sefer. So I'm not only sure I saw it in this sefer, weeks ago. We haven't learned for a few weeks. So, but I just want to go over it. So I want to read it to you, because I had a case. I remember once, years and years ago, a case in Sukkah. There was a case in the Mishnah in the last parak where you had Mayim. I just don't want to make up the case. I think you had Mayim. Magulim was talking about the India Nisach Mayim. So you need. I don't remember. I think you need 3 lugin according to one Tana. And you had Mayim that was puzzle that went into Mayim that was kosher. And over there was a machlokas and Rashi and Tosus if it could make the Shiur. Or let's say you had just less than 3 lugin, and Mayim puzzle made it a Shiur, but the Mayim was batal. So some said that even if it's batal, that means there was no psul, but now it can't make the Shiur. And other Rishonim said it could make the Shiur. So that you end up considering having 3 lugin.
The same issue by mikvah. Which has the same issue by mikvah. I mean, the fact is you need the 4 saw to be actually mine. I mean,
right.
So
that's a different issue. Exactly. There's a machlokas if only rosh shulim is possible, or even miyat shulim. You have to go through all the shitas and what actually passes. I just want to see if this sefer speaks about it. So that's a different question, which has to do with this. In other words, when something is batal, can it give you the...
Does it take on all the attributes of the rove, or whether it just is not a psul in the rove?
It just takes off the yisr, so you're going to be able to eat it. This was os. Veneer. I want to see. Here. So he says, I'm just going to read it to you. Das Rabbeinu, Shalaman Damer Shibabitul Bro, Isser Atzwa Nepach Lios Heter, Hu Hadin, the Mahani Bitul Bro, Winyan Kiyam Mitzvah. Shamiyat Misbatul Makabal Dine Harov, Ukasher Lakaim Bo Mitzvah Miskayamas Barov. Right? The Chain Yesh Lo Chiach, he says, from this Atosus, so I had this Masha Ikshua Atosus. The Gemara says, Shim Kafat Tleh HaPatr B'Maiser L'Toch Tes Acher M'Chayavim B'Maiser. So the Gemara says there's a problem if one jumped back in, because you don't know which one it is, and so when you're counting now the 10, maybe it's one of the 10 is that one, so it's not going to be a good Maiser. So Tol says, why isn't that one that jumped back in, batal berov, and then it's like they're all chayav and meiser, and there shouldn't be any problems. The Tosas, I think, goes into about chayes, not batul and stuff like that. But you see from that Tosas that if there would be a din of bittul, it would even though it was pater from meiser, right? Because it was already counted, not 110, and then it jumps back in, so it becomes not a batul berov. Tosas other with batul berov, and it would put on a chiyuv, a meiser.
Right. Because isn't a problem? Because how else would you deal with it? Because if you count 11, then maybe it was. I mean, there's a
problem with to do with it, but Tosas is saying that's what the Gemara says is a problem. Tosas is saying why doesn't it become batul? Mucha from Tosas Kasha that you can give on the miyat the din of the robe that it becomes chayav and meiser. Then he says. And so that's one ride that Achronim say from Tosas. So Achronim Mashakas Tosas Midraisam Miyat Mayim Shnesar B'Rov Meichatas Kasherim Lahazos Me'am Al Tamei Meis. Even though there's only a rov Meichatas, and they're using the Miyat of Mayim that's not Meichatas, and yet it's still kosher. So you see that the mind that's batal to the Meichatas gets the din of the Meichatas. So that's two rayas he says that the Achronim bring from Tosas. So he says over here on the bottom, says Reb Shimon says that the raya from the case of Meiser is not such a good raya, because over there he says originally this was chayav and Meiser. It became pater because you already counted it, right? So he says, Sham haya hatzlah chayav b'meiser, el shan nifter mechiyuv mishum shekvar avar. Who put, and then, so when it becomes back in Tosas Ribato, so Tosas is saying, let that ptur become bato, and therefore it should go back to its original status. Or don't bring a raya from there that a ptur, something pater can become chayav. He said, all you have a raya from that Tosas they're saying is that bittul takes off the ptur, and it had on its own chiyuv. Without the ptur, it itself was chayav. So you're not making a new chiyuv, right? It's just restoring the old chiyuv. Right. That's so
it weakens the raya, but it still seems to be the same idea. But it's just
weakens
saying that,
the raya.
But right. You could limit the raya that this is a limitation on the raya because you're only re-enunciating the chiyuv.
Right.
But
you're not constructing a new chiyuv.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be
still.
Okay. Yeah.
It's still a chiddush that you could do that.
Right. But it's really. But you can limit the. In other words, if you brought that as a raya, I could limit your raya. Okay.
So he says, Ula matzinu v'shita u'gebetzes on not tosas by ma'aser shetamu al direi tosas alalo v'nakdu shebetel barov ein amiyat mitzbatlo v'nasek barov ha'mabatlo. Oh, they're not going on the tosas, but the ma'aser they're going on the tosas the meichatas. The tosas amiyat mayim it's batel and becomes kosher for the meichatas. And he says there's a tosas and a shita u'gebetzes that says that's not true. V'einu kosher lazos imenu. And according to those achronim, l'chein matzah shel nasa l'shmoa sh'nesar b'matzah sacheres sh'nasa l'shem matzah eino b'tela b'rov, because bittul doesn't give it a din of l'shmoa, but ein yotzim defil b'smatzah. So I just want to say, I always heard that from the shem of on the yentif. There's a whole shul on the yentif that says that. But over here he says. He does. He says here he says Shaltzer Kivego Likutim. He says Baruch Tam and on a Yentif. And they bring rayas to the Yisod, and that's what the raya was. I didn't know the others. I knew the on the Yentif. So that's so they're arguing with the Minchas Chinuch even by the Shema, right? And the Minchas Chinuch was saying by the Shema becomes batal, but for sure, if it's a problem of time, it's not going to give it time. It's not so easy for me to hear the chilik.
No.
He doesn't explain it. He just says it's a davar pasha. Now he speaks about the schach case. Let's see. Mashal Tliach Rabbeinu Kidvar Shamiyat Makabel called Dini Arov from the case of schach puzzle that gets Mu'urav in the row, schach kasher, it's batel, and it's mitzdaref lahachshar sukkah. So there, all you see, it's not only that it doesn't ruin the sukkah, but it adds to the shear of the sukkah. Now, even if you need that to make a certain amount of schach kasher, that adds to the shear, and it's good. Right?
Right.
He says, muchach, that so that's what the Minchas Chinuch was proving, that bittul helps l'gabi mitzvah. He says this halacha is only according to the Ritva and the Levush that learned that Gemara means that the schach possibly becomes batel, and then it's mitzurah to the schach kasher to make an schach kasher. Acharan kasat shamash mitzaref haschach hapasul kasher einu mitam bittul. Sharei adin zahu, because the Ran time is it can't be bittul because it's af ofen sheschach hapasul nicker. The efshir lafrido, and we never say bittul rov when it's nicker. Hakorkach shein tzir haschach hapasul mishum bittul barov. El mishum shein amiyat mevatos harov hakasher. It's talking over there that you had enough kasher, except the meat should have ruined it. So we say the meat doesn't ruin the rov, nothing to do with the bittul rova. Rova kasher mo lahachshar as a sukkah. Right? So therefore the Ran doesn't learn that. All he's saying is the Ran doesn't learn that sugya has anything to do with bittul barov, because he says if it's nicker it can't be bittul barov. But he says there is a Ritva, another Achronim that say that sugya is because of bittul barov. Right. And then I don't know what they do with the Ran's kasha that it's nicker. How is it bittul barov? I don't know.
What's the Ran saying? But the Ran's saying that it's really kosher already. It's just that the miyad will not take away
the kasha.
How does that work? I mean, if you already have a kosher schach, the fact that
this miyad won't pass the roll kosher. You have to see the halachos of schach.
Even if it's nicker, because that's not
roll kosher is enough. Nothing to do with bittul rov. He's saying the roll kosher is enough.
Okay. Right.
But the other ones learn how it's bittul. Right. So now I just want to see how he explains me. Kal magam kan lo shayach. So the Minchas Chinuch says over here about time it's not shayach. Yesh shekasa shevitam acher ein shayach kan gidrei bittul rov shegeter habittul hu lomer shamiyat kamisha eino. In other words, the whole idea of bittul rov is you look at bittul. It's not that you look at it as if it's not there, it disappeared.
Right.
So obviously, if it disappeared, it can't be misarv to the share. So if you eat the one kazayas of all three together, so if you have to look at the matzah, which is shlo v'shmos kamisha, which was what this matzah was mevushelos, it's no time, right? So he says they say you can't be yotze without bittul barov, because bittul barov says it's like it's not there anymore. Not that it takes the properties of the other thing, it's just that it's.
But that would probably be small as well.
Yeah, according to that, it would be probably with the small also, for sure. Yeah. So that's another sugya of that. There's a different understanding how bittul barov works. Right. The name of the God Av Bezin details. Maybe that's Rabbi Gordon. I don't know. Kol makom ein lo tamata. There's also a problem. But what's the case? I mean. See, that's your problem. I also had this problem, the same thing. It's that if it's mevushal, it doesn't have time. So why doesn't that make it nicker? Right. The other one has time, and mevushal doesn't have a time. Right. So why isn't that make it nicker? Yeah. So he says, "B'kol makom ein lo tamata, bir divrei Rabbeinu the sphere lay the hard the matzah the shelos psula ein a psul b'chetza the hamatzah k'mo matzah shenasi shlo l'shmoa eladin." This is a whole different explanation. Eladin b'maisa achilas hamatzah. The Indian is when you eat matzah, you have to have the time matzah. It's nothing to do with the chayfetz. If it had to do with the chayfetz, you would say bittul barov on the time also. But it's a din in the achilas hamatzah shekiyuma hu ayudei sheyochal v'yargish b'achilaso tam matzah. V'achein lo mahani bittul barov b'davar shein lo tam matzah. Shemikol makom b'achila zu eino toim tam matzah. V'alzel lo mo bittul barov.
But for sure, there's a problem with nicker.
Yeah, but that's not the way I understood that. He's saying that's what Ram. He's saying that's what the Minchas Chinuch means. And Minchas Chinuch doesn't say what he means. He just says it. So he's understanding it that way. And he says At sarchiyim bazeh, because the Gemara says in Bala Matzah Yatsa.
Right, and that was your question. That was your question. I remember that was your question as well.
So,
if the bowl of matzah is kosher. Right.
It's nothing to do with your ma'isa achila that you have to taste it when you eat it. So it's a din in the chayfetz, so it has to have that time. If you understood the Rabbeinu his way, so he's saying that's not such a pashut thing that it's a din in the achila and the ma'isa achila. It's not din in the chepsa.
Remember, we saw the Minchas Chinuch held that there is tam. There is tam.
We brought that in. Yeah, because he says there is a ksas tam.
We had real problems with that, but the fact is, there is a ksas tam. So
maybe it's not such a. Avnei chaim. I have this sword. But he doesn't bring down the sword that I don't know if it's such a sword that there's a difference between the mitzvahs and the halachik rule. I thought that's what the Minchas Chinuch meant, but he's saying an altogether different pshat. But where is it? He doesn't say what he means, right?
No. But I think the way you're approaching it makes sense. I mean,
it's a chilik, but I don't know if it really isn't a chilik.
It's a.
My svara, the way I understand it, wouldn't help by Lishma either. But
well, no. So Lishma is a halachik.
Yeah, no, but I add some svara. I'm being mechaber between halacha and mitzvahs, but
right.
To me, that the general understanding about the rove shouldn't help by halachas either. If you need a positive thing, I don't see how bit
right.
the rove.
No, that argument works that way. That argument, the idea of a positive thing, that really becomes an issue because even
I just want to see if I can find that case in Sukkah because it bothers me with the Mayim. When I was younger, when I was still single, I read through Rabbi Zevin's Sefer Amodim Halach, and he gave you such a lot of information and ideas. So it was fantastic. It was written so nice and clear. So one of the cases over there, I remember, was this Shiur of the one. It was because he was talking about he had a section on simple space of Shoeva. There was a Mishnah at the end of Sukkot. If I could find it fast, I'll show you. Chilul was talking about because the whole idea of simple space of Shiur was the Nisach Mayim, right?
Right.
Let me just find that Mishnah. Second. It says over there, it says you can't use yayin magulim. If the yayin was magula, you can't use it for coming back to refer to nisach. In Rashi's, the problem is because yayin magulim was the chashash that the nachash was there, and he put some of his what do you call poison or whatever you call it, venom. What is it called? Venom into the mayim.
Right.
So then the problem was. So why isn't so what's the problem? Why isn't that venom bottle? Right. So I remember there was a.
But also,
I think I'm just guessing.
But it's davar sakana is not. I mean, with venom, it's also davar sakana. I mean, that's a.
That could be something else. Could be. I hear what you're saying, but I think Rashi says the problem with the yayin magulim is because of the venom. And I think I'm just making this up, so I'm not so sure. I hope I can find it. And I think Tosas over there says that why shouldn't it become batal? So over there, I think with Zeman brought down Achronim say that Rashi holds it can't become batal because it doesn't get the property of the mayim. In other words, even if it's batal, it could take off isser or psulim or stuff like there. But over here, you need it doesn't get the property of mayim, and it's talking about you need the shear of you need a certain shear of mayim of 3 lugim. So the venom can't become batal and be mitzaref to the Shiur, whereas Tosfos, you see, held that it could become batal and be mitzaref to the Shiur. You just have to find that. I think I'm right what I'm making up, but I could be that I'm wrong. So I just want to see if I could find it.
That would also be a Metzias thing. I mean, the mind is a Metzias thing. That it can't become water. I mean,
can't become water.
Right, but that's a Metzias thing. That would be like Tam. It can't. It's not just like. It's not just like a halachic category. This is
here. Here's about Nisach HaMayim. 1 second. Here the Mishnah says, Mayim Megulim Psulim L'Gavi Mizbech. So Mishnah and Mem Chesam Beis, the very last of the Mishnah. And I think he says, Mayim Megulim, Shinaskala, Haina Taima, the Mali Minakir, V'lo Ya Menasach Mehen. Why can't you use it? It says if you use Mayim Megulim, you have to get new Mayim from the Kior. So what's the reason Rashi says? V'lo Ya Menasach Mehen, L'fisha Hayayin, B'hamayim ha'megulim are psulim l'gabi mizbech v'chayshin and shema shasa b'hen nachash v'ha'aras ma'ura b'hen v'nimsa she'ena menasech mayim k'shir shrei aras mashlim la'shir. So Rashi, that's what I was telling you about the aras side by yain nesachim and side by mayim nesachim. It's megulim possible because you can't use that the venom because it can't be. So Tosfos brings Rashi. Conscious. So Tosfos says that's not the reason, but he doesn't ask this kasha. Tosfos just says it doesn't. The Mars Maskana, it says it's the reason is because it says Hakudayno Webchascha, and these things you wouldn't give to. You can't give something to a mizbach, what you can't give to a hedjed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was Tosfos, but I'm right, it was someone else because he brought to someone else says that it can't be Bittul Rov doesn't help, or maybe the point is he just said you see from Rashi, and even with Tosfos Rashi, except Rashi's reason of the Hamrina, so you see from Rashi that Bittul doesn't give it the properties of what it's batal to, right? But you're right. This is more like a case of
Metzias.
Case, but there is someone that Tainas on Rashi. I don't remember who. It says that, why don't you say Bittul Barov? I don't know, maybe it's Rishonim, that I don't remember, I have to look up. But this is a case of Metzias, so it fits it very good that the yain doesn't become doesn't become water. And you need it to become water because you need a certain share of water.
That's it. And Rashi's not talking about that. Rashi doesn't say anything Bittul. He's saying. So the question is, why don't you say Bittul Rov?
Right,
but Rashi's saying Bittul Rov doesn't apply. So the answer is
because it doesn't help to give it the properties of water.
Right.
I don't know if I don't remember if Rizavin was asking a question or he brought down Achronim or Rishonim. I thought it was Tosfos, but I don't remember obviously. Yeah. But he brought down someone that mentioned the problem is why doesn't it become. But well, I think he brought down other sheets that says it does become batal. But I mean, like you see in Rashi, it doesn't become batal at least. But this is the case of the Metzias doesn't change. But see, he didn't understand that. He didn't understand the Minchas Chinuch that way either. He understood the Minchas Chinuch because it's a din and nachila. But we had this problem because Bolamatz we said is good, but then we say. You asked the kasha because we said that if you wrap the matzah,
right? You asked it. You asked if you wrap it, and there's no time anyway. So it could be that the achila has to have its time.
And then we saw someone that say that when you boleya, there's a ksas time or something like that.
That's what Minchas Chinuch said. I mean, he said that.
You showed me that. Yeah, you showed me the Minchas Chinuch. There was a ksas time.
But still, that was your question. But still, it says wrapping it there, and there for sure is no time if you're wrapping it. So that's a problem in that. But this is But it's a really interesting question in Rove. Usually, how does Bittul Rove work? Does it? I mean, most people understand that you think in terms of Bittul Rove, the classic example, the argument of Bittul Rove is that the Messias becomes kosher, but really it doesn't. It's not that it becomes kosher; it just does become usher.
The Isser gets removed.
Yeah, Isser gets removed, which is an interesting question. I'll tell you what's interesting about this is the idea of there's a whole issue in with eating something that's mutter. Let's say, but al sakana, the idea that affects your neshama, anyways, and so forth and so forth, by this thing. So the point is that I remember reading like this. If you hold bittul barov, mamish makes it they didn't use this language, but there's some people who basically taina. What's the issue? It's kosher. You can eat it. Other people who sort of taina that. Yeah, it's okay to eat it, but still it's going to be it's still not good for your neshama. But it could possibly toilet on this difference. Is it just
necessarily that's possible?
Yeah, right. That's I'm just saying. But
I think the issue really starts with because the problem is where do you learn out Bittul Rov B'chlal? No matter how you learn Bittul Rov, what's the concept? So the concept is the whole din of Rov you learn out from Sanhedrin and Rabbi Moshe. Right. So good, that's the din of Rov, but where do you know the concept of Bittul Rov? Yeah. So some people say that you learn out Bittul Rov in the din of Sanhedrin too, because let's say you have a majority paskening chayav and a minority paskening pater, right? So they say it's not stam a din of going basar Rov because you need the psak to come out from the whole bezdin. Right. So some say that. So how does that work? If the psak is coming from the whole business, it's only coming up. Let's say you need 71, and you're only getting a psak from 50, because the other ones aren't agreeing to the psak. Right. So some say it must be that's how you know goof of the concept that they're nishapach. It's not just it's not. That really makes it like it's nehapach because it makes them it just means if they're not there. You still only have the 50. Right. So it's not stam that they're not there. It must be they become like as if they're there. They become now like you have a psak of 71 because they become like the Rov.